back, huh? Alright. I guess anything else? I get sued all the time. Y'all.
New drama tonight involving a controversial politician in the south suburbs. Tiffany Henyard was the only Thornton Township leader to show up for a scheduled meeting.
You won't believe what just happened at the latest Dalton Village Board meeting. It was chaotic, shocking, and absolutely unbelievable. Political drama is nothing new, but what unfolded with Mayor Tiffany Henyard took things to an entirely new level. Picture this, a mayor right in the middle of a live meeting being arrested. Yes, you read that correctly. Arrested, live on camera. The chaos she caused was so intense that she had to be physically removed from the meeting. The situation spiraled out of control so quickly that the broadcast was completely shut down. It felt like a scene from a TV drama, but this was no show. It all happened for real in Dalton, Illinois.
I don't believe that is legally correct. That's just not the way municipalities operate.
Let's break down this story because it's filled with so much drama you won't want to miss a single detail. Here's what went down. Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who's no stranger to controversy, has been at odds with the village trustees for months. If you've been following the news, you already know her relationship with the board has been far from smooth. Constant disagreements over decisions, appointments, and just about everything else have become the norm. And at this latest board meeting, it took things to an entirely new level.
Questionable spending by a South suburban politician named Tiffany Henyard, but we only knew half the.
Eyewitnesses at the meeting described the atmosphere as tense from the very start. You could feel it in the air. Everyone knew something big was about to happen, and the tension had everyone on edge. The trustees had gathered for a regular meeting at the local park district building. Why there? Because the crowds have become so massive that the village hall no longer meets legal capacity limits. To wrap your head around this, the trustees at the village hall no longer meets legal capacity limits. That's how intense the situation has gotten. People are showing up in droves to witness what has essentially turned into a spectacle of Dalton's local government. But Mayor Henyard, she wasn't having any of it. That day, she decided she wasn't going to play by the rules.
Those invoices lead to more questions, and sometimes we don't get answers to those questions. And so it's not about clickbait.
Instead of joining the trustees at the Park District building, Mayor Henyard decided to hold her own meeting. Yes, her own meeting, back at the village hall. It was almost like she was making a bold statement. She's in charge and she's going to do things her way, no matter what. But here's the twist. Only 2 trustees showed up to her gathering. That wasn't even enough to legally hold a meeting, so she had no choice but to cancel it. And that's not where the story ends. Not even close. What does Henyard do next? She gets in her car, drives over to the Park District building, and crashes the trustees' meeting, which had been running smoothly without her. That's when things took a turn for the wild. Blurby tells us a little bit about this happening, what led up to the murder, and what led to he being convicted. Before we do that, I want to cover a little bit of backstory for everyone listening. So why don't you start with kind of saying what led to this murder? You've been cracking jokes like this.
Investigator, I've got some books that's on here. Inside I have from the United States District Court.
Earlier, a judge had issued a temporary restraining order, blocking Henyard from making certain appointments without board approval. So when she walked into the room, the tension skyrocketed. People were already fed up with her antics, and her sudden appearance only poured fuel on the fire. Some residents even turned their backs on her as she entered. That's how much frustration has been building in Dalton over her leadership. Grabbing the microphone, she dramatically declared, "I am the mayor of the village of Dalton." But before she could say another word, the crowd turned on her. Booing and shouting erupted as people made it crystal clear they weren't having it. Andrew with his wife, a 33-year-old, Crystal believes that Andrew prioritized his family over hers, with all of her time spent waiting online for the kids. Dragging the microphone, she claimed that everything was going great and everyone kept calling her Dorty. As it happens, we're here right now at school, right now. Crystal believes she was getting away with it, But according to one tradition, she got away with it. But according to one tradition, she didn't. Witnesses say Henyard tried to speak over the noise, demanding respect and insisting the meeting was illegal. Her goal? To push through key appointments, including naming a new police chief. But the crowd wasn't interested. They were too busy shouting her down. It was obvious no one wanted to hear what she had to say. She managed to last just 7 minutes before being forced to leave the room, booed out by her own constituents. And if you think that's where the drama ended, think again. As Henyard stormed out of the building, chaos broke loose. Reports suggest she became so enraged by the crowd's reaction that she got physical with one of the officials. That's when everything spiraled out of control. Already on standby due to the high tensions, had to step in, and then the unthinkable happened. All of these people had been stealing from the gas station and putting together boxes.
Serious the situation has become.
Awesome time on the backs of taxpayers. But what do we gain from any of these trips? We gain nothing.
The broadcast of the meeting, which had been streaming the entire spectacle, was abruptly cut off as Henyard was taken into custody. The scene was utter chaos. People in the crowd were screaming, some were recording the drama on their phones, while others stood frozen in shock, watching it all unfold in real time. Can you imagine a sitting mayor being dragged out of her own meeting in handcuffs? It's the kind of drama you'd expect from a movie, but no, this was real life. So what exactly led to such a dramatic arrest? To understand, we need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. This wasn't a one-off event. It was the culmination of months, maybe even years, of escalating tension, chaos, and defiance from Henyard. Let's unpack the backstory, because trust us, it's a wild ride. Here's the plot summary. Tiffany Henyard has been a lightning rod for controversy in Dalton ever since she took office. Her tenure has been marked by one dramatic clash after another, whether it's clashing with trustees, ignoring legal orders, or making unilateral decisions without board approval. Henyard has consistently shown she's determined to do things her way. Tiffany Henyard has been called the Emperor's Crown for bringing order out of chaos. Tiffany Henyard has consistently shown she's determined to do things her way, anything for her way. But that approach has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Take, for example, the time she unilaterally appointed a new village manager, a village attorney, and a police chief without even consulting the trustees. That's right, she bypassed the very people she's supposed to work with on these major decisions. The trustees weren't having it and took the matter to court. A judge issued a restraining order explicitly barring her from making such appointments without board approval. But did she listen? Of course not. Henyard has a track record of pushing boundaries, and this restraining order was just another line she crossed. At one point, there was even talk of holding her in contempt of court for repeatedly ignoring legal processes. Her moves to consolidate power have earned her plenty of enemies, not just among the trustees, but also among frustrated residents. It seems like at every turn, Henyard is more focused on maintaining control than collaborating with the people she's supposed to represent. And then there's the financial scandal. Rumors have been swirling about Henyard's alleged misuse of public funds, lavish spending, questionable taxpayer-funded trips, and a glaring lack of transparency regarding Dalton's finances. These whispers have only fueled the community's frustration. At one point, a report by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot highlighted the dire state of Dalton's finances, placing much of the blame on Henyard's leadership. And if that wasn't enough, the FBI has reportedly launched an investigation into the village's finances as part of a larger probe. Yes, the FBI. That's how serious things have gotten. As undercover guards entered the village, it's no surprise that Henyard has been under intense scrutiny. Her opponents haven't held back, calling her a dictator and accusing her of running Dalton into the ground. And honestly, when you look at the facts, it's hard to argue. The list of allegations against her keeps growing, and her legal troubles are piling up. It's as if she's walking a tightrope, with every wrong move threatening to send her crashing down. Yet Henyard continues to portray herself as a super mayor. Yet Henyard continues to portray herself as a super mayor. She's tried to rally her supporters, painting herself as the victim of a corrupt system. On social media, she's posted cryptic messages urging her followers to stand with me and claiming she's fighting against entrenched interests. In one recent post, she wrote, "I need all my black sheep to stand with me. You are not alone. If God is for us, then who can be against us?" She wrote on Twitter calling for a marriage of social justice. Anywho, it's almost as though she sees herself as the hero of this story, a lone warrior standing up to a system determined to bring her down. But the reality is far more complicated. While Henyard still has some loyal supporters, the tide is clearly turning against her. Residents are fed up, trustees are done with her power plays, even the courts have stepped in to block her actions. It feels like she's fighting battles on all fronts. And at this point, it's hard to see how she could come out on top. Now, let's talk about the investigations because they could be the final nail in the coffin for her political career. The FBI is reportedly investigating Dalton's finances with subpoenas issued in both Dalton and Thornton Township as part of a larger federal probe. The focus? Allegations of Henyard's misuse of public funds and other misconduct. First of all, and that's from the FBI. This is pretty wild, right? The FBI is reportedly investigating Dalton's finances with subpoenas issued in both Dalton and Thornton Townships with part of a larger finances with subpoenas issued in both Dalton Townships. And it's not just the FBI. State-level inquiries are also underway, digging into everything from her financial dealings to her management of village business. These investigations could spell serious trouble for Henyard, potentially sealing her fate in Dalton's political landscape. And here's where things get really juicy. There have been leaks. That's right, documents have surfaced exposing questionable spending, especially on taxpayer-funded trips with no clear purpose. We're talking about thousands of dollars spent on travel, accommodations, and who knows what else, all paid for with public funds. It's no wonder the FBI is involved. Something clearly doesn't add up here. Speaking of reactions, let's talk about the fans. Trust us, people have a lot to say about this. One fan commented, "I suppose she'll be saying it's only clickbait and fake news when she's in court again." And honestly, that sums it up perfectly. Henyard has tried to dismiss these allegations as nothing more than attacks from her enemies, but at this point, it's getting harder to ignore the mountain of evidence piling up against her. She's living with her family in New Jersey after getting scammed by her crazy sister Rachel. And she's ultimately, another fan even claimed, she's been a criminal her whole life. She was arrested for breaking into cars in 2016. She probably already has a long rap sheet. Now, we can't confirm whether that's true or not, but it's clear Henyard's reputation is far from spotless. She's faced serious trouble before, and it looks like she's right back in the middle of it again. So, what do you think? Is this the end of the line for Tiffany Henyard? Or will she somehow manage to bounce back yet again? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for all the latest updates on this wild saga.